There is truly nothing better than the feeling you get when you build your own Linux desktop and you just have everything right at your fingertips and you can just flip through so seamlessly and it works with your workflow. And you can't help but think once you have this revolution that why doesn't everyone have this? Why? When is the year of the Linux desktop going to happen? And I remember when I first got in Linux and I thought this, I was like, hey, this has to happen soon. And I came to realize that this desktop is unique to me. And most other people will make different choices when they're building out their Linux system. And then I was like, that makes it even better. But, and this is a big but, not everyone's going to do this. Most people are so used to saying, here, this is what you're going to use. Here's a hammer, here's a nail. You can only do a couple things with it, and go. Linux, it's like, hey, here's an entire workshop. You got every tool at your disposal. You have every material that you could possibly ever want to build anything. And people get in there and go, oh, wow, there is just everything to choose from. I don't know what to choose. They get paralyzed by the just options available, the paralysis. And when it came to selling something to someone, if you're ever going to sell something, the worst thing you can do is give a person too many options. They get paralyzed and then they end up just leaving because they're confused on what to do. Linux suffers from this. But there's also other things about Linux because of how this is set up. When you have Mac, you have Windows, you have Chrome OS, you have Steam OS when it comes out, and it doesn't suck. It'll be a unified experience where they give you a hammer and a nail. And there's not much you're going to be able to do with it. And the reason for all this is they want to be able to support it. Giving you all these options means every system works just a little bit different. Maybe not 100%. When we get in here, let's say we're in here and we launch our terminal. Terminal is the one unifying thing about Linux. That's why I always tell people, hey, if you don't like terminal, you're not going to like Linux. And that's just how it is. You need to get comfortable with this glorious, glorious thing that is called terminal. And you can do anything. And I mean anything with it. You can set your display. You can change your system. You can install anything. You can just, sky's the limit, right? But it all can be done from here. And to many, they don't want to do that. They don't want the awesomeness of C Matrix. They don't want to fish. They don't want to do all the other stuff you can do in here. They just want a desktop with a start menu that they can go do all the things they can do on it. It's for this reason that no one will ever use Linux desktop as a whole. There's certain things that'll do okay, like System 76 Pop! OS. It's baked in with the system. It's pretty intuitive. And you got other things like Linux Mint, which I always recommend. If someone always asks me, hey, what's your favorite distro? What distro is the best? I'm like, just install Linux Mint or Pop! OS. No, that's just always my recommendations. They're very, very solid. They're very well-rounded. And there's really not too much setup to them. But the big thing I'm getting at here is it's almost impossible to support Linux as a whole. The Steam Deck's coming out soon, and already we're starting to see easy anti-cheat and all these implementations that Steam is doing that's amazing. And I'm already seeing all these other Linux creators say, this is the year of the Linux desktop. This is the time when people are going to jump on Linux and get tons of adoption. And I just want to say, you're wrong. I think it's amazing. I think it's great. I'm going to certainly make videos about it, and I'm going to love it. But as far as the average person getting on Linux, it's still going to be much of the same. They're going to use Windows. They're going to use Mac. They might use something else whenever the Steam OS comes out. Maybe they'll do Steam machines again. Oh my god, that would be so much fun. I would buy every single one of the Steam machines just to tinker with. But I digress. It is just the way the world works, how us humans work, and the way Linux is constructed, that we will never see the year of the Linux desktop. I'm not saying this is some jaded vet. Like, I remember when I first got it, I'm like, that guy's just jaded, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe you go, hey, it's because of the community. It could be all these different reasons for adoption, but the gist of it is it's almost impossible to support. There's so many different configurations. There's so many different things that can happen to it. And I just know this from people that shoot me an email or message me on Twitter and say, hey, I've had this XYZ problem. And they say, I can't launch Steam, or I can't launch a browser, or whatever it might be. And I'll be like, okay, well, what distro are you running? What happened with this package, man? There's so many different things that can go awry in Linux, where when it comes to the other operating systems, they're just way easier to support for the normies. And it's not to say that's a bad thing. It's an observation. And that's okay. Linux is a unique environment, one that I absolutely love. I look around this and I know if something bothers me, I can just change it. Or if I don't like Dolphin, this right here, and I'm like, you know what, I'm sick of this. I want to go to Nemo, or maybe I want to go to, I don't know, Nautilus, or whatever file browser I want to switch it to, or I want to switch around the icons, or if I want a console like this, it's all right there, and I can go ahead and do my whatever I want from here. I have all these like just cool little things that I can customize, but at the end of the day, most people don't want that. They want the hammer and the nail. They don't want the complete workshop. They just want to check the browser. They want to install their games and live in that sandbox. And that's okay. It's just a little depressing. And it's something that I've just kind of realized. And I don't say this to hate on anybody for saying the year of the Linux desktop, as I love that hype. I love that belief, that thought. But it's just something that will never happen, and that's okay. Because we have this amazing environment that we can build, and if you like to tinker, you like to do stuff with computers, you like to be in IT or a technician, there's certain people that when it comes to Linux, there is no greater option. And for others, there's always Windows and Mac. And there's nothing wrong with that.